people here once. Maybe we can find some others. Survivors, you know? I'm not sure they have that many places to hide, though. How do you think everyone's doing back home? You don't think we let too many monsters in through the portal and left all our friends to die in a horrible ocean of rotten flesh, right? Nah, no, probably not. If we're not home to help defend our cell and monsters find our people, well, I guess it's good that not everyone's in one place. We could just move to another cell, like moving in with a new family. Except that the old family died horribly, and the new one will always remember that we'd abandoned our first one and look at us sideways for the rest of our lives. Maybe we should hurry. Like being linked to our world, but it's an improvement. A small one. It might not make any difference whatsoever, but it's still something, right? Well, it would be if I had a heart. That should help keep the flesh-eating monsters from eating the skin off of your face. That's a good thing, right? Ooh, that's new. When are we gonna use that? Ooh, can we do it right now? Powering me up like this, and I think we'll both get really good at the whole mass mayhem and destruction thing.
I have heard about how many individuals among species like yours meet a mate and decide to build a life together, spending the rest of their limited days in company. That sounds quaint, cute. It is not our way. We have little desire for companionship, and seldom the need for each other's aid or company. Sometimes, however, there is the need. It drives us to seek each other out, and, in that short time together, we can make something beautiful between us. A new world of our own, for us to build as we need. But, as with everything, some endeavors are bound to become disasters.
Hello? You did it again. Seriously, stop spacing out like that. You're gonna get us killed if you just stand around. Oh, well, you'll get killed. I'll just be stuck in this place. Forever. Not sure which is worse, to be honest. Ah, fancy place. Lots of seats, too. Somewhere for wizards to give lectures. Wizards do like to have an audience. Huh. Am I the only one that thought that entrance was a bit much? No? Just me? Okay. You know, I may be a sword and literally made for fighting, but seeing stuff like this really makes me reconsider my career choices. You're an artist on the battlefield, except that instead of a brush, you've got me, and instead of a... You know what? Just forget I said anything. Are these guys getting uglier? Or am I just thinking that because you keep sticking me into them? Oh, and by the way, you know how I said something earlier about hitting the bad guys until they don't hit back? Well, if we see any others as disgusting as this, if you wouldn't mind, using magic from a distance, that'd be nice. Really nice, actually. Oh, Okay, I know
God.
you're defending yourself, but can you please kill that spitting one first? Why are you making me feel sick? I didn't even know I could feel sick. Wait, did you mean to do that? Can you boost that one again? Unless you don't want to, of course. Not much I can do about it, after all. like being linked to our world, but it's an improvement. A small one that might not make any difference whatsoever, but it's still something, right? Yikes! What happened here? Looks like where someone would have tried to make a last stand. I don't see any actual signs of fighting. You know, this place is totally wrecked. But if we don't stop monsters from coming into our world, well, we won't even get a chance to build cities like these. I mean, it'd be better if we didn't destroy them too, but at least we'd have the option, right? Wait, that was supposed to be the thing it did, right? Is that thing's tongue wrapped around its neck? I'm not big on fashion, but that seems like a terrible scarf alternative. tickles. Well, at least I think it does. What does tickling feel like? Wait, that was supposed to do the thing it did, right? Do that one again. Can you boost that one again? Unless you don't want to, of course. Not much I can do about it after all. use me if I get too powerful, right? I mean, you should definitely want to be careful, because that's a perfectly reasonable response, but being so scared that you let a zombie eat your kidneys wouldn't help much either.
Everything needs something to build from. Some sort of template. Pure potential energy will create something eventually. Yes, as evidenced by the great explosion that began your own universe. However, it is usually best to provide a design to follow. Energy needs to go somewhere. It wants to be used. So when we create a world meant to design itself around a creature, the world leaps at the chance to begin building, even if the first creature to enter that world is not us. But what does an infant world know of the undead? Nothing except the land where the creature came from. Why then bother with making the people that the undead usually spawn from? Why bother with creatures to build and ruin monuments when they could be created in their desolated forms? It is much easier for the world to simply make more creatures like the one that had molded its reality around. And so, we inadvertently created a world of monsters, ruled by monsters, and built only to breed monsters.
Hey, welcome back to the real world, Sleeping Beauty. Third time you've zoned out like that. Do those creatures, as spirits or whatever, do something to you? Looks like some people maybe tried to hole up in here, at least for a while. Still, I can feel the world's core. We're getting close. Looks like a building meant for warship or something. This is not the worst place you could go for sanctuary from a horde of hungry nightmare creatures. Hey, did that pile of junk just... Oh no. Just hold still. You can only see movement, I think. Or just relentlessly hack it to pieces. Yep, that option works too, I guess. Hey, wait. That thing isn't just a huge, hideous abomination of nature and personal hygiene. Well, I mean, it's that too, but it's also the core. That thing is the core that's holding this whole world together. Remember, you need to find a nexus point as soon as you kill this thing so that we can escape. Well, I mean, don't focus too much on that right now. I mean, you've got a more immediate problem. So how about you just focus on trying not to die? Okay, you're almost there. Don't get cocky, but finish it off. Well, don't lose your confidence either, because you can absolutely do this, but, you know what? I'm just gonna stop talking and let you fight. Woohoo! Alright, buddy! Nice going! The bigger they are, the harder they... Oh, right. The world is literally falling apart. Time to go? Yeah, time to go. Okay, good. The Nexus is this way. Just get us there and I can cut us a hole back into our own world. Giddy up! Seriously? Where'd all these other monsters come from? I thought we'd cleared them out on the way here. These things must have been further away or didn't hear us from inside the buildings. Now that everything's shaking, they're getting all riled up. throwing a rock at a hornet's nest. I'd really appreciate it if you got us out of here now. Right over there! Come on! Come on! Oh, wow. While you're catching your breath, give me a second. Near the Nexus, if you don't mind. Or not. Yeah, the other world is gone. I can't feel it anymore. No connection, or rather nothing to connect to. Yep. Pretty sure. Like 94%. Maybe 94.8. Without that world overlapping with ours, we won't see any more zombies coming through. There'll be plenty to still clean up on this side, but at least there won't be any more pouring through. Gotta say, it was a touch and go there for a while. But you really pulled through for us. If I had an adrenaline system, my heart would be racing from all that. Kinda looking forward to the next one. Just, not anytime soon, okay?
No matter what we try to do, sometimes our best efforts turn to ruin. Sometimes that ruin can affect others, harming people and things that we had never even anticipated coming into contact with. Yet even though we cannot fix our own mistake here or save ourselves from it, we are fortunate enough that those whom we have harmed are capable of doing so in our stead. For now, we can only hope that these humans will be strong enough to mend what we have broken, and in saving both of our kinds, give us a chance to repay our debt.
again. Can you boost that one again? Unless you don't want to, of course. Not much I can do about it, after all.